No, I don't think Donald Trump is serious, and what he's saying isn't a serious plan, and we're living in serious time. We need real leadership. All of this helps his buddy Hillary Clinton, for sure.
Jeb Bush on the campaign trail in New Hampshire criticizing Donald Trump for the Donald's pronouncement that Muslims should not be admitted into the United States, claiming that will only help Hillary Clinton. But there's a very interesting poll that's just out from USA Today and Suffolk University. And here are the numbers. If Donald Trump should bolt the Republican Party and run as an independent, 68% of his current supporters would follow him out of the Republican Party. So what does that mean for the GOP as we get closer to 2016? Let's bring in our panel. From Newsmax New York, we welcome senior political contributor for Forbes.com, Rick Ungar, and from Newsmax Washington, Republican strategist and political analyst Ford O'Connell. Now, gentlemen, we begin with a very interesting report from NBC News. Checking the numbers, Jeb's super PAC, Right to Rise, has spent close to $33 million on ads. That's almost more than all the other candidates combined. Trump hasn't spent any money, but he's still way out front. And Bush is, if not bringing up the rear, just lagging in the polls. Let's go with our Republican consultant first. Ford O'Connell, was this money well spent?
Well, he's not making a dent in the polls, and that comes out, given that he's got 3.8% nationally in the polls, to about $10 million per point in the polls. He's not making a dent, but I will say this, JD, over the next 4 months, I expect these polls to change a lot. Whether or not Bush will catch the wave, I don't know. It doesn't look good for him right now.
Well, it has not happened thus far. And Rick Ungar, you're our resident Democrat. And so I know you like to see strife within the GOP. So what is your opinion of what's going on? Will we see a lot of fluctuation in the polls over the next 4 months?
Oh, clearly. I mean, it's amazing that we're taking them as seriously as we are, particularly national polls. I think national polls have absolutely no relevance at this point. I do think it's interesting to look at state polls, particularly when you consider we're now only 8 weeks away from the first actual primary. So they do begin to become relevant. But, you know, whether or not there's going to be strife and whether or not we're going to see a lot of changing has everything to do with how Donald Trump does in both Iowa and New Hampshire, and as he begins the SEC polls, moving into South Carolina. If he emerges from those polls with wins, I seriously don't know how you stop him, because I don't think we're going to see a scenario where the establishment candidates, such as they are going to start dropping out and getting behind one candidate to take Trump on. So this may actually be a done deal almost at this point.
From the SEC
Rick,
primary, we got so much to cover, brother.
Probably stop Donald Trump's momentum is Ted Cruz in Iowa, because the first set of nominating contests, minus New Hampshire, are evangelical heavy.
All right. Fair enough. Now, I got to go back to New York City for Rick Ungar, because the Daily News, especially this week, has really been running some controversial cover stories. And today, they go after Trump using parts of that Holocaust remembrance, "First They Came." When Trump came for the Mexicans, I did not speak out as I was not Mexican and all of that. Listen, the elites and the establishment seem to be intent on portraying Trump as Hitler or a fascist. That's not going to work, is it, Rick?
Well, that's a really hard question to respond to. It's not my tendencies to call anybody a fascist or compare them to Hitler. I think that's a bad way to go. I do have serious problems with what Trump has proposed, but that's based on the law. You know, a lot of people have been trying to cite this section of USC 1182, which does say that a president has the authority to bar classes of aliens from coming into the country when he deems it appropriate. What they're forgetting, JD, and this is what happens when you don't carefully read law. If you go to the first section of that law, the law defines what a class of aliens is. And it's very clear. It lays out a lot of things. Nationality would certainly be a class of aliens. However, religion is not. So I have a lot of trouble with the road Trump is traveling here as an American. This isn't a liberal or conservative issue.
Well, fair enough.
But
let's also
know what we're talking about.
Let's also note this, Rick, that, and I know Ford's trained as a lawyer and there can be different opinions on the law, but I'm going to take Ford in another direction. Instead of citing statute, I'm going to cite another document, Time magazine, naming German Chancellor Angela Merkel the Person of the Year. My old colleague in the Congress, Joe Scarborough, on MSNBC's Morning Joe, really doesn't think that's the right choice. Let's listen to what my old pal had to say.
It's not around this table. It's not the last few months. It's not in New Hampshire. It's not in Iowa. Mike Barnicle just came back from Paris, and they are absolutely astounded by what's happening in America and are scared because we are the leaders of the free world. Richard Haas, every time he comes back from overseas, he said the only thing diplomats want to talk to him about, not global warming, not the Iran deal, it's Trump.
Final 30 seconds to you, Ford O'Connell. Is Joe right? And is this more evidence that the elites are just trying to be Donald Trump deniers?
Well, Time's Person of the Year has become a bigger crock than the Heisman Trophy. The deal is Trump doesn't fit with their PC European socialist sensibilities. Trump should have been over Merkel, but I'm going to tell you something. ISIS should have been over both because essentially it's the number one issue in America, and France is under martial law for the first time since World War II.
All right, gentlemen, we will have to leave it there. Rick Ungar in New York City. New York City, yep, that's where he is. And Ford O'Connell at Newsmax Washington. Gentlemen, as always, we thank you very much. You heard what they had to say. Agree or disagree? Send me your comments at newsmaxtv.com/comments. After the break, Dennis Michael Lynch. So stay with us.